Good evening. We are beginning tonight in Genesis chapter 21, verse 1. The Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did to Sarah as he had promised. And Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age at the time of which God had spoken to him. Abraham called the name of his son who was born to him, whom Sarah bore him, Isaac. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac when he was 8 days old, as God had commanded him. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. I don't know about you, but when I'm 100 years old, I'm not wanting to have a baby then. And Sarah said, God has made laughter for me. Everyone who hears will laugh over me. And she said, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would suckle children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age. Now, I love that phrase. She has borne him, Abraham, a son in his old age. Well, guess what? Sarah's old too. She's in her 90s, but she only mentions Abraham's age. That tickles me. Maybe having a baby in her 90s made her feel young again. Verse 8, and the child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast on the day that Isaac was weaned. But Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, whom she had borne to Abraham, playing with her son Isaac. So she said to Abraham, cast out this slave woman with her son, for the son of the slave woman will not be heir with my son Isaac. And the thing was very displeasing to Abraham on account of his son. Now here was Sarah, full of joy. She's so full of joy. She said that God has given me laughter. Her joy, she'd been wanting a child all her life. And so now her joy is made full. She has a son. And yet that isn't enough. She looks over and she sees Ishmael, another young boy, playing with her son Isaac, and she just won't have it. She won't stand for it. Her joy wasn't enough to get rid of her bitterness. How many times have we seen people that allow bitterness to rule over instead of just celebrating the joy and living in gratitude? They live with this spirit of spite, bitterness. God said to Abraham, be not displeased because of the lad and because of your slave woman. Whatever Sarah says to you, do as she tells you, for through Isaac shall your descendants be named. And I will make a nation of the son of the slave woman also, because he is your offspring. So Abraham rose early in the morning and took bread and a skin of water and gave it to Hagar, putting it on her shoulder along with the child, and sent her away. And she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. When the water in the skin was gone, she cast the child under one of the bushes. Then she went and sat down over against him a good way off, about the distance of a bow shot. For she said, let me not look upon the death of the child. And as she sat over against him, the child lifted up his voice and wept. And God heard the voice of the lad, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, what troubles you, Hagar? Fear not, for God has heard the voice of the lad where he is. Arise, lift up the lad, and hold him fast with your hand, for I will make him a great nation. Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled the skin with water and gave the lad a drink. And God was with the lad, and he grew up, he lived in the wilderness, and he became an expert with the bow. I think that's interesting that earlier, when it said that Hagar sat a distance away from the child, and it said the distance was about the length of a bow shot, and now here it says that Ishmael would become an expert with the bow. He lived in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took a wife for him from the land of Egypt. from her own home country. Now, Hagar was the handmaiden of Sarah. When Sarah couldn't conceive, she gave Hagar to Abraham. And I can't imagine Hagar was all that excited about that endeavor, but it did allow her to become a mother, and she gave birth to her son Ishmael. Now that Sarah has her own child, she wanted Hagar and Ishmael cast out. Now, who is it that wears the pants in the family between Abraham and Sarah? Abraham's the authority, but maybe Sarah reminded him of the times he lied about her and got her kidnapped because of it. Maybe she was holding that over his head. I'm not sure. Now, so far, we have seen Abraham selling out his wife, Sarah, pretending that she was a sister so that he could be safe. God came to her rescue. Lot sold out his daughters and offered them to the men of Sodom so that they wouldn't attack and brutalize his guests. And God came to the rescue of the daughters of Lot. Sarah sold out the handmaiden and mistreated her. Abraham sold out his son, Ishmael, and agreed to send them both away. And once again, God came to the rescue. God sees and hears us and knows our needs. Rest well tonight, and I'll see you tomorrow.